As you can plainly see, I'm running this at its native resolution. I haven't even turned on frame skipping yet, and it's only managing to push out around 30 frames per second, which is nowhere near the 60 frames I'd prefer. It's incredibly choppy and lagging quite a bit, making it very difficult to play smoothly. Today marks the little new year. Joe and his crew are already off enjoying their holidays, so I snuck into their office and liberated this device. That's right, it was stolen. It doesn't even have its original packaging. Anyway, after the new year, a Pro version will be released, but this is the standard version. The standard version features a Unisoc 6 series CPU. All the previous models Joe released had the Tangela T820, but this one is from the 6 series. Some of you might be wondering, why a 6 series specifically? Well, most of Unisoc's clients are companies like Transsion, catering to our friends in Africa. Their phones aren't high-end, but this chip is actually quite decent for Android handhelds and retro console emulators, which is a big plus. As you can see, the screen's color gamut and overall quality are pretty impressive. Alright, now that we've finished showcasing the gameplay, let's pick out a few representative game IDs to check out next, shall we? Looking at the industrial design, you can see the ABXY buttons are still just printed on, not double-shot injection molding. The joysticks have a light ring underneath. We have Start, Select, the ANBERNIC button, and the back button. As for the screen, I personally feel that after getting used to 120 Hz refresh rates, this 60 Hz one feels a little slow. Next, let's look at the design. Here's a PS Vita 1000. You can see that aside from the missing Sony logo and the speakers not being on the front, many design elements are basically borrowed from the PS Vita, including the top here. Now here's an interesting point to consider. There are two distinct marks right here. Did you notice them? This is for compatibility. When they're making the mold, if you want to release a Pro version, the buttons and ports will definitely be different. For the 6 series chip, the Type-C port might be on top. So, the charging port. The charging port is here, then the indicator light, this is the reset button, volume down, volume up, and this is the home button, the power button. This 6 series, Joe's. When it comes to products, ANBERNIC's products, if the system isn't very stable, they'll often include a reset button for convenience. You'll find that an increasing number of modern machines have actually eliminated the reset button. So, when performance lags causing potential freezes, they include this dedicated reset button. As for the D-pad, in comparison to the PS Vita, I'm not certain if a new mold was used for its entirely black design. The feel of this D-pad. I don't know if it's because this is an engineering sample or what, but the rebound for up, left, and right feels the same. The down button feels a bit mushy, but it doesn't affect combo execution. Down here are the speakers, the TF card slot, and the 3.5mm jack. The back has the same rear touchpad design as the PS Vita, but without the actual back panel. This is the RG Vita design. And the air vent for both intake and exhaust is just one, so there's only an intake, meaning it doesn't need much cooling. The entire device features a single integrated glass panel, which looks quite pretty. But, and I really must interject here since you've gone to such lengths with the design, why do these crystal buttons lack linear input? Note that this device doesn't feature linear input. Perhaps the Pro version will, as I can already see the linear groove present. If you've already implemented that, why not fully commit and make it like the PS Vita? To circumvent Nintendo's patents, Sony deliberately separated its directional pad here. These crystal buttons, while prone to dust and smudges, provide a superb tactile feel. This design also beautifully retains that iconic Sony Walkman CD text effect. You see, Sony's original design just has this incredibly beautiful texture, and they cleverly left out shoulder buttons, so the back is a full-fledged touchpad, letting you play tons of games. So what can this touch technology be mapped to or used for? Pause, resume, R, linear input, and so on. There's a lot you can do with it. Now let's look at another company's copy of the PS Vita design. This D-pad isn't just similar, it's identical. They're both double shot. Same for the ABXY buttons. As for these crystal buttons, some fans have reported that they shed powder when rubbed. The reason for the powder shedding is because this is made of PS material. The outer ring wasn't made of POM material, which leads to this powdering problem. Using POM material for the joystick rings would fix this, showing the manufacturer's inexperience. However, with these double-shot keycaps specifically, the letters and characters on the buttons won't easily wear off. All in all, this ID design copy is quite successful, and it still manages to retain a bit of ANBERNIC's unique flavor and style. The overall weight, well, it's a pretty light machine, and as for the size of the screen, you can just compare it and check it out yourself. Alright, what about ANBERNIC's usual traditions, like Migu Quick Play? For testing, yes, it also has a retro game console feature, and it's equipped with ANBERNIC AI. Translating games or taking screenshots will be very convenient. We won't test that here. Okay, the first game we'll test is God of War 2. Here, we're enabling high performance mode, high speed mode, and this is God of War, running at 520 by 480 resolution. Now, let's exit. Let's take a look at this software then. For Unisoc CPUS, when it comes to Vulkan rendering, the visual effect is actually significantly superior. We'll utilize the native 1x resolution for this. Okay, that's confirmed. We will proceed with that then. You can clearly see that I'm running this at its original native resolution. I have not enabled or even touched the frame skipping feature. It's only managing about 30 frames per second, which is nowhere near the 60 frames we'd want. It's incredibly laggy, truly a frustrating experience. Because the video I'm showing you here is absolutely unequivocally native 1080p, running at a perfectly smooth 60 frames per second, ensuring a truly immersive visual experience. When there are a lot of small soldiers on screen, even with high performance mode enabled, it's barely playable. But honestly, on the actual hardware, the visuals are still quite choppy and sluggish. This demonstrates that it only supports approximately 50% of PS2 games when running at their original native resolution settings. Now, if you want to play with frame skipping on, just pretend I didn't say anything. To achieve perfect PS2 emulation, you'd truly require a powerful Qualcomm processor, such as a Snapdragon 870 or an 865, to impeccably run around 80% of PlayStation 2 titles without a hitch. This kind of processing power ensures a truly smooth and immersive gaming experience. This is God of War, just to be clear. Now let's just go ahead and switch to a different scene, shall we? We absolutely must test this God of War game because so many people are genuinely curious about the actual extent of what this 6 series CPU can truly achieve. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up what you can expect from Unisoc's 6 series processor. Oh, right. Oh, whoops, I pressed the wrong button. The button mapping seems to be quite problematic. I've been mashing the A and B buttons for ages. In this particular scene, you can clearly tell the frame drops are quite severe. While the recorded footage might not capture it as distinctly, if you were to witness it firsthand, it would be undeniably apparent. Okay, I don't know if you can all see this clearly, but my screen is right here. There are no special lighting effects. When I turn the brightness all the way up, you can plainly see the screen flickering significantly. It's constantly flashing, just persistently flickering, you know? So, why exactly is that happening? Because it's using frame skipping. It's using some kind of frame interpolation technique, and that's why it's flickering. Okay, next up, let's test the PSP God of War. This is Ghost of Sparta, the PSP God of War. Not this one. The other God of War will definitely run fine. Fast forward, fast forward. Alright, we get it. You look cool. This is running at 2 times PSP resolution. I mean, honestly, this machine's performance is absolutely more than capable of handling PSP games without any issues at all. You won't encounter any problems whatsoever. And then someone will test it and say, this reviewer is always testing God of War. Joe finally conquered God of War. But your device is labeled RG VITA, so why aren't you testing any PS Vita games? First, the PSV versions of God of War Y and 2 drop frames severely, not running well on the PSV. Why not use a PS2 emulator? That's one aspect. Another factor is that the PS Vita emulator doesn't run very efficiently on the Android architecture, so even if you put it to the test, the results won't amount to much, failing to deliver a decent performance. You want to test PS Vita games, right? Then you'll need the latest emulator, and it absolutely must be optimized for Qualcomm CPUS to get good performance. We already know that Unisoc has excellent software driver support, so its PS Vita performance won't be exceptionally strong. And besides, even if I don't test it, other reviewers are certainly going to use PS Vita games to test this out. Therefore, when they're released, you can simply check out their review videos. What I'm doing now is just laying out for you its screen performance, specifications, and other aspects, so you'll have a really comprehensive and reliable reference. As for everything else, you guys can just wait and see and look it up yourselves. I'm not testing the PS Vita here because the standard version definitely can't run it. This Unisoc 6 series CPU absolutely cannot handle the PS Vita. Don't even think about it. Alright then, in Double Dragon Fighting, let's go ahead and test the Sword of Death to truly see its effect and how it performs, shall we? Forward quarter circle punch, then another forward quarter circle punch, then one more, and then a back kick. I remember it was that roll. Yes, that's right. It was definitely that specific roll I had in mind. Back, front, oh, back and front, then back and front again. Those two are definitely the special moves, no doubt about it. Boom, it's done. Absolutely perfect. Let's check out how it performs with this. 2. Well, that was one successfully completed round. Alright, moving on. For our next segment, we're jumping into Street Fighter 3, Third Strike, to give Alex a thorough test run. As soon as the New Year festivities are over and done with, you'll be able to get your hands on Alex in Street Fighter 6. Given he's the central character of Third Strike, executing his moves requires just a simple half-circle input. Direct throw, full circle. This ANBERNIC joystick is actually very impressive. It's a precise capacitive joystick, and with the amazing optimization and support from Android, its accuracy and responsiveness are absolutely outstanding, truly excellent. Well, for devices like the H700 or other more ordinary CPUs, if the system isn't as well tuned as Android, this joystick will definitely struggle to perform at its full potential. It'll be really hard for it to show what it can do without optimal software optimization, wouldn't you say? You won't let me grab him? Are you seriously denying me that? I really need to get my hands on him, you know. The frame rate in Third Strike is truly impressive. The visuals look absolutely fantastic, making the game so much more enjoyable to watch. Yeah, and Alex in Street Fighter 6 also has many of these awesome throw techniques, you know. This time, the joystick's height and its range of motion to the edge are both excellent. It precisely fits within the gate. And when you're using it, from my testing, I've played with it pretty hard for about 2 or 3 days, and there's no sign of the powder wearing off yet. But this is something I'll need to keep monitoring continuously. If I notice any wear, I'll definitely post screenshots in my updates, you can bet on that. Allow me to execute a move on this opponent. Please, just let me land one hit. Just one hit. I really want to land a hit. Ah. He hit me with a grab. He hit me with a grab again. Come on. Okay, for our GBA testing, we won't be playing Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. Instead, we'll dive right into the Kunio-kun series to see how it performs. Oh, what in the world is happening? Did they seriously just block my move? I almost had them. Now, for the Kunio-kun series, we're mainly testing the GBA version, specifically the forward-forward input, plus pressing 2 buttons. Check out this awesome wall jump effect. We are definitely not testing Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. We're just not doing it, not testing Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure, I repeat. Take a look at this. This game is relatively lenient when it comes to detecting inputs for the double tap forward and index finger buttons. Ding ding dong 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 dong. Alright, let's just get right into it then. Ding dong ding dong. I am just humming a little tune. Next up, we're going to test Metal Slug, and we won't be using the Turbo Fire feature. Brother Joe's conductive rubber and ABXY button molds are universal, so they won't be changed. This means if you buy other products from ANBERNIC, they'll essentially use the same ABXY layout. I've turned the sound off because you have to mash B during the unboxing. Have a listen and see if you're okay with this sound. Some fans have said, hey, A1 Toys, you never test the sound of the ABXY buttons. The D-pad is basically silent. As for the ABXY buttons, see if you can hear this. I'll be quiet. Alright, so that one is the official version, straight from the manufacturer. The official one uses a micro switch, also known as a dome switch, a dome sheet. Alright, then let's just go with another company's product, you know? Let's just grab something from another brand then. Alright, so this one here is using micro switches. Okay, so this particular one is from ANBERNIC's line. Now let's see if this is something you can really get used to. The tactile sensation of ANBERNIC's controller, it's very much reminiscent of the older third-party PS3 or even PS2 controllers. Yes, that's precisely what it feels like. It's quite similar, with the only real difference being that its buttons are designed to be a little bit rounder. Alright, so next up, we're going to put the Dolphin emulator for NGC through its paces. It absolutely has to be at native resolution for this to work correctly. I'm going to give you a quick look here. Yeah, it absolutely has to be at native 1x resolution, and for the software, you can't choose open-air rendering because this actually uses V's software rendering, not Qualcomm's. So, what kind of issues are you likely to encounter while playing the game? The beginning of the game is fine, but once you get to the large open-world grassland, anyone who's played it knows you'll definitely get a frame drop. And if you're playing games like Skyrim or others, unless your hardware is really powerful, did you notice how that last scene didn't load correctly? So many textures, and the textures themselves will be problematic. Beyond that, the shadow rendering also presented some issues, and when you're playing, you're restricted to only the NGC version, not the Wii version. The fact that it can even manage to run The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker at all is quite an achievement in itself. If you want to play Twilight Princess, it's going to be quite a struggle to manage. And this is the NGC version, not the Wii one. Oh, the NVIDIA Shield, there's an NVIDIA Shield, and it has a remastered version, yeah. You can. It's not actually a resolution problem at all. It's simply that the CPU is not rendering effectively for this particular emulator. It's just really not optimized for it. Regarding the numbers, if you don't enable frame skipping, 30 frames per second is quite stable. Oh my goodness, it's Link, the one and only. Ah, this Link is the absolute coolest. Wolf Link is still incredibly awesome looking. It's barely playable, I suppose. That's really all I can say. Alright, next we'll test Commando. Alright, next up we're going to put Commando through its paces, a true classic. Actually, you don't even need to specifically test Commando. Feel free to test whatever you want, use any game. Any old CPS 1 game will do the trick perfectly. And when you're playing for Commando, you can specifically test its performance. This Sword of Death, its rebound isn't quite strong enough, it's a bit soft, but Amertek still demonstrates some expertise. Once fully pressed down, the pre-pressure sensation is truly comfortable, and as you can see, it completely prevents any key ghosting. Oh, right now, if I press and hold this, moving it up and down, it doesn't actually move up. Unless your hand intentionally moves diagonally upwards, it won't trigger any accidental key presses, preventing any unintended actions. Alright, let's give this special move a try, shall we? You need to press buttons A and B together simultaneously for it to activate properly. This should give us a good indication of its effectiveness. And so, the Toy Masterclass is now officially in session. If you're developing a handheld gaming device or a controller, the A and B button inputs typically require 5 pins. However, if you only use 4 pins, when both buttons are pressed simultaneously, the system won't register them as being pressed at the exact same moment. Instead, there will be a slight sequential delay between the 2 button presses. However, in games, to unify the devices, regardless of how you press them, as long as your presses of A and B are close enough in time, the game will interpret that as you activating a special defensive maneuver. Actually, some new AAA masterpieces that utilize the Unreal Engine demand an extremely precise level of control. At times, the system might fail to register when you press 2 buttons simultaneously. There will invariably be a slight delay, with one registering just before the other. If you were to observe this on an oscilloscope or capture the data using specialized software, you would clearly notice that inputs A and B are not always registered at precisely the same moment. Thus, some manufacturers, to cut down on costs, employ a 4-pin PCB design for this internal component, rather than a 5-pin one. Hence, when simply using them, you won't discern any difference between the cheaper and more expensive versions. However, if you are particularly meticulous, you can uncover whether they've indeed economized in this manner by testing with certain games. Alright, next up we're testing the GBC, so how does the screen look in its entirety? I'm not sure if it's my camera or just the lighting issue. While it might seem incredibly vibrant and colorful to players on screen, my actual hands-on experience was that it's quite washed out. It just comes across as rather bland. The contrast is simply not strong enough to make it pop, in my honest assessment. Why am I using this to test it? Because this is a dialogue-based game. Its resolution, including the colors, they all come across as quite distinctive, I guess you could say. If you rely on systems like the PS2 or similar ones, where the pixels and images are already quite high definition, you really won't be able to discern the color contrast as clearly. Overall, I'd say the visual quality is a bit subdued, lacking that vibrant pop that you'd ideally want to see. It's not quite as punchy or impactful as it could be, which makes the whole experience feel a tad underwhelming and perhaps even a bit dull. Oh? Ha 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 ha. She certainly seems like a very sensible and well-behaved trainee, doesn't she? Acting like a pampered princess, saying I'm the only beautiful one here, a spy from another country. I remember this is the Russian elf. Her voice actress is actually the same one who does Luffy's voice, you know. A little lowly, huh? Is she some kind of Chinese tech girl character? Or perhaps Sakura? Ah, the master! Alright, next up, let's take a closer look at the animation's audio performance. So if you use it like a classic PSP back in the day, or you could watch anime and play games, then hey, this machine is still quite excellent. The sound isn't positioned at the front, leading to some sound dispersion. This is likely due to the PCB's limitations or the speaker unit that was procured, but it also has a slightly heavy quality. Overall, I feel it's still a bit washed out. Take a look.
It's in detail, to understand what makes it tick. Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's not always easy, though. No, it's really never easy.
Alright, so here I am using the player that comes built in with the ANBERNIC device. I also have a 4K restored version of this file, but as you can clearly see, this file is a massive 1.19 gigabytes. The device simply cannot handle playing 4K content. It's just not possible for it. There's sound, but no picture. And the voiceover for this, it honestly sounds like it's dubbed by someone just chatting, doesn't it? It genuinely gives off that vibe, don't you think? You see, there's sound, but no picture, no hardware decoding, so the device simply can't handle it, and even if you switch to another player, it still won't work. Other players also can't decode this 4K private file, so, unfortunately, I won't be demonstrating that for you all today. Alright, to wrap things up, let's summarize. This device will definitely have a pro model, and given the current high cost of memory, they're surely going to have to make some cuts and release several different versions. As for handheld device names, models, and so on, this particular unit is equipped with 3 gigabytes of RAM and runs Android 12, which frankly isn't a whole lot of memory when you consider everything, especially for a modern operating system. So, regarding the current situation, we definitely need to talk about the Pro version versus the standard one. If, and I emphasize, if you are looking for an Android handheld gaming device, primarily for retro emulators, something lightweight, and with extended battery life, I mean, I've been playing this for 4 whole hours and it's only drained 10% of the battery. This machine is unbelievably power efficient, truly remarkably so. And look, it doesn't even have a fan. Heh heh. So what does that signify? This device barely gets warm and doesn't radiate much heat. It truly requires no active cooling, which explains its lack of an intake vent, featuring only an exhaust port. This machine is quite compact and lightweight. Furthermore, its grip mirrors the feel of the PS Vita. If you can overlook the screen being a fingerprint magnet and the A, B, X, Y buttons feeling somewhat cheap, then this device is actually pretty decent. Now, for those who love playing PS1 games, enjoy using DuckStation, but dislike Linux systems and aren't fond of arcade chips, this machine truly stands out as an excellent option for you. Plus, it also offers the capability to do some streaming and more. So, how should I put it? Is the machine good? It's just passable. One could say it barely passes muster, but I have no idea how much it's going to cost. I actually swiped this machine from Motion, so I'm not entirely sure how to price it. It should be available after the Spring Festival, though. Whether or not you folks decide to purchase it is completely up to you. I've tested everything I could for you, so anyway, that's just how it is.